Hi, everyone. I'm Rae Luskin, and this is the Creative Activist Turning Pain to Purpose, a gathering place for people working at the intersection of healing, creativity, and social change. Here, artists, healers, educators, and change agents come together to share stories, challenges, and breakthroughs to explore how creative expression can heal our deepest wounds. As you all know, I always like to start with a poem, and this is called The Leap of Yes and. Step into the unknown where courage meets play, where fear dissolves and judgment drifts away. Say yes to the moment and to the twist, to the try, and watch new paths appear as old limits die. So step on the stage, let your story unfold, embrace the unknown, be daring, be bold. So I am so grateful that I have an opportunity to introduce a friend of mine, Ellen Schnur. We've met over the years in different capacities. I'm just going to give you a quick bio, and as we go along, we'll be able to talk about some of the work we've done together. So Ellen is the founder of ImprovTalk, an accomplished improv keynote speaker, corporate trainer. And for the last 15 years, she's combined her experience in business and management with the transformative power of improv to help people and organizations thrive in uncertainty. Her workshops teach vital competencies for today's world: comfort with ambiguity, deeper connection and collaboration, and the ability to communicate and listen across differences. She is a survivor and an advocate, and she will tell you more about that as we go along. Hi, Ellen. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Ray. I'm so glad to be here. And I love that poem. Did you write that?
Yep,
You'll have to send that to me. I love it.
I
It's
will. All right.
wonderful.
It's like I've been trying to do that and I started with just general ones about creative activists, and now I'm trying to make them personal for people. So a little bit,
Well done. Well done.
Thank
Thank
you. It's
you.
all part of the journey. So I just first let's just talk about what is improv. And because I don't know if everybody knows, some people know Second City from around here in Chicago, others like, huh, what are you talking about? So why don't you just share a little bit about that first?
Sure. I ask that question at a lot of my workshops and keynotes. What do you think improv is? And get answers like you're talking about. It's whose line is it anyway? It's jazz music. It's all kinds of different things. It's funny. It's this. Improv is there's theatrical improv and then what I call applied improv. Theatrical improv is where people get up on stage and seemingly magically create a play. It can be in short scenes, little snippets, but they create on the spot without a script and entertain audiences. And it's magic how that happens. The thing about magic is there's a lot behind the scenes of magic, and that's where applied improvisation comes in, which is what I teach. And that is where we break down what is it that these people do to prepare to get on that stage and make things up as a team on the spot without a script. That's not an easy thing to do. These people must be just super talented. And the truth is, yes, a lot of them are super talented, especially the famous ones, but there's a lot of rules and foundations and principles that you learn that help you to be able to do that. And it made such a difference in my own personal life that I just became passionate about teaching applied improvisation.
That's
And
so,
it's a lot of fun.
and it is a lot of fun. Ellen, I took one of her workshops on storytelling. And, the whole point of the creative activist is about storytelling right now, and having these interviews. And it taught me so much about being on the stage and having a story and embodying my body and moving from one part of the stage. Here's my pain point. Here's the journey. And here I am today, surviving and thriving and all of this. And it was like it clicked in my head in a way that other teachings had not for storytelling. And so I know how important it is. And being able to be on stage, because the very first time I told my story of being abused, it was like I thought I'd throw up. I didn't have any of these tools. I was shaking in my knees. And I thought, oh my God, but I just blurted it out because that's what I had to do. Now I understand more about the journey and sharing the journey in a different way because of those kind of teachings. So thank you very much. So
Well, it was a joy to teach you, and you've taken it a long way.
we've taken it a long way. So We did a workshop, I don't know, 2 years ago for National Council of Jewish Women. It was a
Yeah.
leadership workshop, and we worked together, and it was just a joy, and so many people got so much out of it. Why don't you explore with us a little bit what that looked like, or one of your workshops that you how you use it, maybe as one or two of the exercises or stories that you use,
Sure.
both
Well,
and.
oh, I'm sorry, what?
I said yes and. Yeah.
Yes, and sure. So I started teaching what I called applied improvisation in my 50s. I started studying at Second City in IO and a lot of other theaters. And like I said, I became passionate about how it transforms lives because it transformed mine. There's a particular story of a woman who took one of my workshops early on that I love to tell because it really kind of puts into light what improv can do. And so there's this woman, I call her Diane. That's not a real name, but she came to one of my early workshops and she was really quiet and shy and wasn't participating much, just kind of stood there. But as the class progressed, she started laughing more and she started participating more and she became part of the team. And that's my whole goal, is to get to create a team when we're doing a workshop. And then, about a month later, I held another workshop and she came again. And right at the beginning, she said, we're standing in a circle. And she said, do you mind if I say something to the group? I said, sure, go ahead. And she said, I took your last improv class and I was so scared. And because I had had a stroke 3 months before and it affected my speech. And I was so scared that people making fun of my voice and the way I talked and all of that. But you made me feel so comfortable and not judged for how I was talking. It made a tremendous difference. And I was able to take that out into the world. And when I went to my doctor for her stroke, he asked her what she had done because he saw so much progress. And basically what it means to me is that we have these voices in our heads, and it's like with storytelling, when you told your victim story, um, that we have this voice in our head. I can't look stupid. People are going to think I'm, terrible. They're, all these thoughts, and it's all I am going to look bad. Me. And what happens is when you can ignore that voice in your head and start focusing on the people around you, which is what we do in the workshops. I teach people, focus on your scene partner. Don't focus on your own thoughts. Focus on them. Listen carefully to and respond just like you do in a conversation with your girlfriend. You don't pre-plan those conversations. So even when you're uncomfortable, focus on the other person, and that will allow you to become more comfortable and be more yourself and be able to share journeys and be able to share all kinds of things rather than standing up there saying, oh, they're not going to like me, right?
Right. And I think the idea too, the deep listening, that's really important, because too often we've already made up our mind. You meet somebody, you've already got a judgment about them. Or, we've heard a story and it's like, we're already talking, before we even could digest it. And that's a skill that we all need. And that's when you witness somebody's story or you tell your story. Either way, you want to create a safe space for people. And I think this is a tool that I would never have thought of in the beginning till I met you, that could be used for healing, because it is teaching us different values and
Sure.
another way to approach it, which is very creative and fun and can be scary at times. There's no doubt, because you feel exposed and, but at the same time, it just, like in our experience when we were working with the women at our, the event we did together, there was so much positivity, and people who didn't usually talk started to speak up. There was a lot of laughter. There was a connection that had been lacking for a while. It's like, because we were in a space of change and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a really good skill. So I love that.
It works I have worked with children, I've worked with seniors, I've worked with CEOs and presidents, I've worked with Fortune 500s, I've worked with tiny, small companies, and it's the same thing. in every team and in every group is learning to focus on your partners and listen to your partners and build together. It's called yes and yes and about your poem. And yes and is really misunderstood, I think, by some people because yes and sounds like you just say yes to everything. And that's not the truth. I was giving a keynote for about 500 people, and this CEO raised his hand and he said, you're telling me I need to yes and people. I don't have time to yes and people. And I said, sir, you're absolutely right. It takes time to yes and people, and you can't do it all day long. But I want you to imagine for a minute. Yes anding means listen to somebody, turning off your own thoughts and listen and turn off your judgments. Accept what they're saying. You don't have to agree, just accept what they're saying and try and build on it because they have their own ideas, see where they can go. When you don't do that to some people, especially people who don't speak up, are they going to come back to you and speak up again? Of course not. They're just going to stay silent. So yes anding allows people the space to, because they know they're going to be, whatever they say is going to be accepted and not judged.
Right.
And maybe in the end, the idea won't work, or the idea will be turned down, or there will be disagreements, but you can have those conversations after someone feels like they've been accepted for what they've got to say.
Right. I believe that, when I've been teaching my creativity classes, it's the same thing, because if you're setting up a system that says, no, we've always done it this way, well, why would anybody ever speak up?
Right.
Everybody's got ideas. And instead of saying, well, we've already done it that way, I like to add, tell me more. Tell me more, and whether it works or doesn't work, everybody's got a voice at the table, whether you're doing, business or whether you're in a nonprofit. You were on the board of Northwest CASA for many years. And it makes a difference. So,
Yeah.
I believe that. So it is in life. We have to open that up. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your experience with Northwest CASA and why you were involved with them.
Sure, sure. I just want to go back to your phrase, tell me more. That's such a powerful phrase, tell me more. I think everyone should have it tattooed everywhere or
Thank
signs
you.
everywhere. Tell me more, tell me more. It's so important. I love that.
Thank you.
So Northwest CASA, when I was well, I just looked up the statistics this morning just to kind of refresh. And nationwide, 81% of women and 43% of men have reported experiencing some form of sexual harassment or assault in their lifetime. And in the US, there were 204,055 reported sex offenses, which means they are occurring every 2.57 minutes. So every 3 minutes, there's a sexual assault. And that's just
Terrifying.
terrifying. Those are scary statistics. And, so when I was 4, I was sexually assaulted by a neighbor and I never told my mom. Um, and when I was in my early 20s, I was raped by a boss and I quit my job and didn't report him. But then I got some counseling from a rape crisis center up in Minnesota and where I was living. And I started feeling okay. But what I realized was there was a lingering kind of a fear there. And when my kids were going off to college, I realized I needed to start facing some of these fears. There's a quote by Katharine Hepburn, if you don't face your fears, you'll become soggy. So I thought, okay, I still have this kind of lingering fear that someone's going to assault me. So I decided to join the board of Northwest CASA, Northwest Center Against Sexual Assault. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. And I eventually became president. And one of the things which brought me to you, meeting you, was we did this thing called a walk a mile in her shoes. And it's an organization where you order a lot of high-heeled red shoes in all kinds of sizes, and people sign up to walk. I can't remember how long it was. It wasn't that long. It was
Yeah.
like a quarter mile
Right.
each way.
And it's men we're talking about. We're not talking about women, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, just men sign up to do the walk. Women can walk with them, but the men wear these high-heeled shoes. And it was very powerful, I think, for men to kind of once they're in these high-heeled shoes and walking, to kind of think, what is it like to be a woman and vulnerable and all those kinds of things. So I thought it was really powerful. And you were one of the supporters of that
Right. That's where I
event.
actually launched my book, The Creative Activist, Make the World Better, One Person, One Action at a Time. And it was such a powerful experience because that day we still have a picture of the two of us with the newscaster from Channel 9, WGN, who interviewed me. And we were talking about the power of humor to also bring people together because that was funny, but it was an opportunity to share what we're talking about. It was because this is a difficult subject, and how do you create these kind of things? That's why, I'm working on a think tank right now, creative activist think tank, because we need more things like that can bring community together, create dialogue, and it doesn't have to be as serious and heavy all the time, but it gets you, oh, what are they doing? Why are they doing that? And I thought what was powerful too, the newscaster divulged to me his mom on her deathbed told him she had been abused and never told a single soul. And that is what I don't want to see happen in this world. I think we stop ourselves, we judge ourselves, what's wrong with me? I'm broken, I'm wounded. And we need opportunities to share our stories, and through joy and activities like improv. And even if you only told it once, that's okay. And that's part of my mission right now, that we don't want to go to our deathbed with a story like that, because you never know who's listening, who wants to hear your story, and how you're making a difference one person at a time. We inspire people. We give them hope. We also tell them the past does not define your future when we do that.
Right, right. And the other thing is, I think for me, I felt like there was something wrong with me that this happened, even when I was little and in my 20s. It's like, this is kind of my fault. There must be something wrong that this happened to me. And improv, I mean, counseling helped too, but improv really helped me to realize that I had more power than I thought I did, and I could do things that I didn't think I could do just by taking risks on the stage. When you do improv, you are taking risks. You're stepping just a little bit out of your comfort zone and in a fun environment. So it's not like you're being tested or something. You're just doing it in a fun manner. And the more you take those kinds of risks, the more you realize you can take those risks outside of improv, and you start to feel more and more powerful.
Right. And I think there's too many of us who've been, survivors. We tend to want to be invisible because, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to see me. Or if you knew me, you'd run for the hills. I'm broken, I'm wounded, I'm this. And this is an opportunity to be visible. And in
Yeah.
little baby steps, and we each need to take those baby steps for ourselves, whatever that looks like for you. And because I believe in my heart that this is what, I know what I'm meant to do is to share this information, because it allows us to live authentically then. Instead of always looking over our shoulder, who's there, who's that angry man, is that guy going to touch me, is this going to happen? And as women, we still walk around. If you're out late at night and you go into your car, you got your keys out, your phone, just in case, you're always on alert. And
Yeah.
so I believe that this is one of those opportunities for us to become visible. I'd love for you to tell us another story that you feel that, that you've experienced. Did anybody ever divulge to you or any of those kinds of things, their pain because of this?
I had the delight to do a workshop down in Puerto Rico at
Wow.
a convention, and it was a company event. And I did improv for women, and we did a lot of the exercises. And I want to do a quick one with you before we go, just for that is a great example of how it helps you gain power. But anyway, so one of the women who was pretty high up in the organization, she this happens a lot. Can I say something to the group? And I said, sure, you hired me. Take the floor. She got up there and she talked about her journey of a horrible divorce and not sexual abuse, but verbal abuse and some physical abuse. And she shared how she got through it and how other women helped her, and she's telling this, and the people were crying, and she was crying.
I'm going to cry
And
just listening. Yeah.
I know it was amazing. When you get people comfortable, they start to want to share their stories. And there, I was at a women in manufacturing conference, and I did a workshop, and one woman said that she had um, turned her company around by being kind to other people and yes-anding the workers there. Instead of trying to drive profits, she started getting to know the people in the company. And one particular young man she met, she took him out to lunch and found out his wife was being deported. So she hired a lawyer, stopped, and his child were being deported, and hired a lawyer, got that stopped, and within months her profits started skyrocketing because she had the company behind her. So
Right.
you never know what is going to happen when you have these workshops and what kind of stories are going to come out. So
I
yeah.
love that. That's great. Why don't you just give us a little exercise to do?
Yes, this is one of my favorites, and I want everyone to keep in mind that this isn't the first thing that we do. We do a lot of other things to warm up, but Rae, you know me, so I think we feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
But so we lead up to this exercise, but I think it's really powerful, and it's called sound ball. And so the difference between me just teaching an improv class and doing applied improvisation is we do an activity and then we talk about that activity and how it matters to you or not. It might not, but that's where the power lies, is in the debrief. So we'll do this really quick and then we'll just talk about it if that's okay.
Okay.
So Rae, sound ball is, I believe we've done this before. So I'm going to throw a sound to you like a ball, and you're going to catch the sound like a ball by repeating the sound, okay? And then you're going to come up with a brand new sound and throw that sound to me, and I will catch that sound repeating it. So I'll give you a demonstration. So if I said whoop to you, you'd go whoop, catching it, and then you
And I
come up
go
with it.
whoosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoosh. Yeah, there we go. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Lap. Happy.
So you're going to catch my sounds, repeat my sounds.
I thought I did, but okay, I got it. Okay.
That's okay.
We did this with words instead, or instead of sounds. We did this one, yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
That's probably confusing. Anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah.
And it gets people a little uncomfortable, right? Because I'm making weird sounds, and that one sound that I made was really stupid. And I always say, how many people thought one of their sounds was stupid? And hands are raised. How many thought somebody else's sound was really cool? Hands are raised. And then I ask, is that the truth? Is it true that one of your sounds was really stupid and somebody else's was really cool? No, it's not the truth, okay? But we listen to our inner dialogue like it's the truth, especially when it's negative.
Right.
And that's where we need to recognize when we're doing that it's not the truth. It's our brains trying to protect us from looking stupid, from getting in danger and dying, that whole ancestry
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
This is sort of Byron Katie, is it true? That's her work always.
Yes. Is it true? Is it really true?
I've used that because especially when I'm making judgments about people, about myself and others, and it's like, oh, where did that come from? So is that really true? Is that really what's going on? And I think that's a really great idea. So
yeah,
thank you.
It's powerful, definitely.
It is powerful. So I want to ask, how do people get a hold of you?
I have a website, ImprovTalk.com, and I have an email, ellen.schnur@improvtalk.com. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. Look me up. I'd love to hear from you. Yes, it's so much fun to talk to you again, Rae.
And some days she does improv just to have improv workshops. I mean, with other people.
Yes, I do workshops all the time. So
all
kinds of different organizations and
right.
even
just
my
for
book
fun.
club.
Yeah, in the club. Yeah. Okay. So, Ellen, thank you so much for saying yes. And I'm happy to share this information with you. It's such a way to embrace courage, connection, diversity, and creativity in every moment and make a difference. You've heard Ellen's story of this people that she's interviewed and how people have changed lives because it opens them up to non-judgment, working together. Tell me more. There's so much you get out of improv. So thank you, Ellen. And if you're inspired by this story, please join the Creative Activists Turning Pain to Purpose movement on Substack, where we will continue to explore storytelling, art, creative tools that help us transform fear into freedom and pain into purpose. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Rae.